What's up, dudes? So today I'm going to just do a brief breakdown of foundation basics. So if you guys are curious or want to know anything about that, then stay with me. So I took some notes so that I won't forget anything. Essentially, the reason why I'm doing this is because I feel like foundation is really expensive for a good one, and that you can really also go really wrong with foundation. I love foundation. I don't need to wear it particularly, but I just like to wear it, and I'm starting to get like basically foundation obsessed. I'm going to start out with the tools for foundation. So you can apply foundation with two different tools. Well, you can apply foundation with your fingers. You can do anything you want. You can do anything you want with makeup, but you can apply foundation with a brush, and this is the IT Cosmetics Love is the Foundation brush. And this is like the rave, like people really love this brush, but I used it one time to apply my foundation and I didn't like it. It made my foundation look a little bit too dry. I just never used it again. But you can apply foundation with a brush, and some people love it, or you can apply foundation with a beauty blender. And I actually have a couple. They're both really dirty. Neither one of them is cleaner than the other. Well, actually, technically this one is cleaner, but it looks dirtier. So this is the actual beauty blender, the brand beauty blender. And I paid $20 for this at Ulta, and it's really soft. Anyway, and it's really soft. And so I bought a Morphe beauty blender one time and I felt like it was too hard, so I returned it. This is the Juno & Co. beauty blender, and I love this beauty blender. I love this beauty blender, but $20 is expensive. And so this is the beauty blender that I just got from Juno & Co. I got them two for one, so I paid, including shipping, I paid $10.99 for two of these. And I love this beauty blender. The way it makes it's made out of microfiber. It's like fuzzy. It just makes it great. And the key to using a beauty blender is to get it wet, run it under water, then squeeze out all the water, and then squeeze it with a towel around it to get all the moisture out of it. And then it's just damp. The other thing that I forgot to talk about is primer. Primer goes on underneath your foundation, and it's just like primer with a car paint, house paint. It's a primer. You put it on your skin, and it makes your foundation sit better. Different primers work better for different people. I normally love the Tatcha Silk Canvas. There's all different kinds of primers, and it depends on what your skin type is, what works best for you, and I'll kind of get into that in a minute here. But primer holds your makeup in place. You'll see like a lot of times when somebody like gives you a hug or something and then their foundation is still on your clothes. Well, a good primer will kind of work to prevent that in at least some cases. Primer is key, I believe, in foundation looking good, especially if you have drier skin or even if you have oily skin. Like, it can kind of counteract the effects of foundation, like keep it from sliding off your skin or keep it from getting totally dry and cracked and looking like a mummy, the Crypt Keeper. So the different finishes of, and this is important, so there's different finishes of foundation, and there's luminous, dewy, and hydrating, and then there's matte, and then there's natural. And obviously this is a gross generalization. I'm sure I don't know everything, right? Those are the finishes. And so luminous, hydrating, and dewy are for dry skin, and matte is for oily skin. What matte does is it gets dry and it stays on your face so that when the oils of your skin overproduce, your foundation still stays dry and in place. Luminous and dewy hydrates the skin, and it gives it a hydrated look if you have drier skin. So there's different coverages. There's light coverage, medium coverage, full coverage, and then there's tinted moisturizer, which is just supposed to like look like your skin. And that's basically based on preference. I like a light to medium coverage. And also you can build up a lot of foundations where, like, if you're not getting the coverage that you want, you can just put on another coat, just like with paint or nail polish part. So skin types versus the foundation. As I said before, if you have oily skin, you want to get, in most cases, a person with oily skin wants to get a matte foundation to hold your foundation in place. And someone with dry skin wants to get a hydrating foundation so that your foundation doesn't get crackly on your face. So Do Your Luminous foundation hydrates the skin. Okay, and then there's the other skin type, which is normal or combination skin. And combination skin is normally oily in the T-zone and dry on the cheeks. I believe that I have normal to combo skin, that like I'm somewhat oily in the T-zone, but I'm not what I would say dry on the cheeks. And I'm not necessarily I'm not like a grease trap on the forehead or nose. And some people are, and the way that you can kind of counter that is with matte foundation. But so there's also a natural finish, which is like, I don't know, I would say the Urban Decay Stay Naked foundation is a natural finish. I like natural finish, so it's not dewy or matte. It just looks like natural. And sometimes something says it looks natural because people want their foundation to look natural, but it doesn't really look natural. So, yeah, so that's kind of the big fuck around. Now I'm gonna get into my skin. I have mature skin. So there's a conundrum with mature skin if you are oily. And the reason being is because the older you get, the more hydrated you want your skin to look. You always want your skin to look as luminous as possible because that is what takes away from the fine lines. And there is no foundation that makes wrinkles go away. That doesn't exist. There's foundations that can really highlight your wrinkles, like a matte foundation will really highlight your wrinkles, or like a luminous or dewy foundation, which will like de-emphasize your fine lines. The trick is because I have oily skin in the T-zone and I have mature skin with a lot of fine lines, aka crinkles. Thank you, Alice Lockhart. I want my skin to look luminous, but because I'm oily, a luminous foundation will just slide off my nose. And so I have to make sure that I get the right foundation to keep my nose covered and to keep my pores as blurred as possible without making my face look dry and crackly. And like all these like fine lines right here would be like, it would look like a bunch of trenches on my face with a matte foundation. I'm going to talk about setting powders. So there's kind of a process. You go through primer, you go through the foundation. Many people use concealer. I do not use concealer because all concealer creases in my lines. So I don't even touch that shit. I don't really need to. I don't have discoloration underneath my eyes, so it's not something I've ever had to worry about. But if you're wondering why your foundation used to make you look great, and then all of a sudden as you get older and you start to get more of those fine lines, and now your foundation doesn't look great anymore, you might need to step up your game as far as your foundation. So setting powder. Setting powder makes it so that your skin doesn't look oily, right? Because foundation will make your skin look like a sheet of plastic, or like you just slathered butter all over your face. And so powder comes in and gives your skin that more natural, like skin like texture. But the other thing it does is it sets your makeup in place so that it doesn't start to crease in your smile lines and sink into your pores and I don't even put setting powder under my eyes. A lot of people, it's called baking. And when people use concealer, they put setting powder under their eyes so that their concealer won't move around. And to that end, setting powder does work. It also can also backfire on you because setting powder is the exact thing that makes older skin look even older still, or mature skin. And so there are a couple different finishes of setting powder, and there's like glowy, and often those will have like a tiny bit of sparkle. The Laura Mercier Glow, actually I look like a bronze goddess when I wear the Laura Mercier Glow setting powder. So I don't wear it that often. I'm starting to not prefer it as much as I did in the beginning, because the key for older people is to look luminous. And so glowy setting powder really gives you that like shiny, light-filled, luminous effect. Then there's matte setting powder, and that kind of is really dry. There's Laura Mercier powder I find very drying and very matte. too matte for me. It makes me look like I'm 150 years old. I really have grown to like this Becca Hydra Mist setting powder, and it's weird. I've said this on here, or I've said it in a couple of videos I haven't uploaded yet, but this almost feels wet when it goes on. I don't know what it is, but once it touches your foundation, it has a wet feel to it, and it just doesn't look as dry. And I put setting powder where my pores are because powder blurs out your pores, and people with oilier skin have bigger pores. So it blurs out your pores, it sets your makeup and makes it not move around right here. And then I also put it around my smile lines and in my forehead, because my forehead is oily. I put setting powder there to kind of keep my makeup from moving around, right? Finally, you see people using a setting spray. So I feel like there's a range of setting spray, and I feel like on one end of setting spray is the Urban Decay All Nighter. I can't use that setting spray because it made my face break out in a bunch of tiny little bumps, but it really holds your makeup in place. And then on the other side of that spectrum, I have the Pacifica matte setting spray, and that's a setting spray technically. And then on the other end of that spectrum, for people who have drier skin, there's hydrating refreshers. So if your skin looks dry by the end of the day, you can spray some of that on there, and it will give it'll kind of give that luminosity or that little bit of refreshment to your foundation. Refreshment. I don't even know what I'm doing. Who the fuck do I think I am teaching you guys about shit? One example of that is the Hangover 3-in-1 by Too Faced, and it is a replenishing primer and setting spray. I find that this just adds hydration, and also this adds hydration. So I'm trying to hydrate because I'm old lady, right? So I'm trying to constantly hydrate my makeup, but you don't want to go overboard with this because then your makeup will slide off your face. That's kind of the finishing touch to foundation. So if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you like this video and you want to get more like educational videos, let me know. Don't forget to like this video if you appreciate it, if you want more content like it, and also subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so that you guys can see every time I post. I love you guys so much. You guys could have been anywhere, but you were here with me, and I appreciate you.